Here's a video for 3 variables, 3 equations. So we're solving systems of equations with x, y, z, a, b, c. Basically, there are 3 letters. And the process for that is as follows. Here are the notes from lesson 40. We are going to pick 2 equations, adjust their coefficients if needed. We do that through multiplication. Then we'll add or subtract to cancel a specific letter. We're going to pick 2 different equations and do the same thing, canceling the same letter. So same letter, different equations. Now, what this creates for us is it creates 2 new equations with less variables. We're missing one now, so we're down to 2 variables, and we're going to line those up and cancel another letter. We're going to plug back in to find the other 2 in the reverse order, so we're going to work our way from the bottom of the page back up. Now, I'll give you an example that's done fully, and then I'm going to do a second example without talking over it. The first one I'm going to start with is question 9. Okay, now I want to cancel out a letter. I can cancel out x, I can cancel out y, or I can cancel out z. When I look at the coefficients on the letters, I see 3, 5, and 4. Well, I would need to make these the same number, so I'm thinking what's a common multiple of these? 3 and 5 could be 15, 4 would have to be, 60. That's pretty big. 2, 4, and 4, well, that seems really easy, actually, because I could make those all into 4. And 5, -1, and 3 would be 15. So I think that we can agree that these are the easiest. Now, what I mean by easiest is, take a look. If I take the second and the third equation, I can cancel out y quite easily. Now, if you already know what I'm going to do, pause here and do it yourself, and then I'll catch up when you unpause it. Okay. Now, I'm going to add these equations together. And when I do so, the y's are going to cancel each other out. 5x plus -4x is basically 5 minus 4, which is 1x. -4y and +4y will cancel out. -z, which is -1z, and -3z, that's going to be -4z. And 9 plus -5 is going to be 4. That's a very big first step here. Now I have an equation that only has 2 variables. I've gotten rid of y. The problem is I still have 2 variables, x and z. Well, I'm going to need another equation with just x and z in it. And I can't pick the same 2 equations. I can't pick 2 and 3 this time. I need to pick a different pair. So let's see. I'm going to choose the first and the second. If at any point you think you know what I'm about to do next, please pause and do it yourself, and then unpause me for me to catch up. Remember that in both of these cases I'm canceling y, both with this and with this. I'm canceling y for both instances. Different equations, canceling y for both. So here are my first and second equations. I've got 3x plus 2y plus 5z equals -9, and I've got 5x minus 4y minus z, which is 1z, equals 9. Now, when I go to add these up, the y's are not going to cancel out. One is 2 and one is -4. I'm going to need to adjust this. If I could turn this guy here into a 4, these would cross out. But he's not a 4 right now. If I multiplied this whole equation by 2, then it would become a 4. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to multiply by 2. I'll change up my color. I distribute in. 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times 2y is a positive 4y. Yeah, look at that. Nice. Lines up. 2 times 5z is 10z. And 2 times negative 9 is going to be equal to negative 18. Now, these are the equations I'm interested in, so let me give them a little breathing room. Now that I have these, and the y's line up, I can add these together. 5x and 6x, no, these cross out. 5x and 6x is 11x. The negative 4y and 4y cancel. Negative z plus 10z is going to be positive 9z. And 9 plus negative 18 is negative 9. If you know what I'm about to do next, pause and finish yourself. I'm going to take both of these equations. It's positive 1x minus 4z equals 4. 11x plus 9z equals negative 9. Now ask yourself, which one of these letters seems easier to get rid of? 1 and 11 on the x's, or 4 and 9 on the z's? I'm going to multiply this by 11, and actually negative 11. Because if I multiply that, negative 11 times 1x is going to be negative 11x. Perfect. Negative 11 times negative 4z is going to be positive 44z. And negative 11 times positive 4 is going to be equal to negative 44. I'm going to add these up. 11x and negative 11x gone. 9 and 44 is going to be equal to 53z. And negative 9 and negative 44 is going to be equal to negative 53. Z is almost by itself, so I'm going to divide by 53 on both sides. And negative 53 over 53 is negative 1. So that's our first variable. That's the majority of the work. Let's wrap up what we did again, okay? We took two equations and we lined them up, multiplied their coefficients if needed, so that we could cross out y. We took two different equations, we multiplied in the 2 to adjust them, to make them the same letter, same coefficient on the same letter, y, and then we added them to cancel them out. And so we got x and z again, x and z, x and z. Then we lined those two equations up with each other, right here, we lined them up. We adjusted one of them by multiplying so that the x's would cross out, and that leaves us with z alone. It's like we're just carving away all those extra variables until we get down to a single one. So z is negative 1. Now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take one of these equations from the middle, let's say this one. I'm going to take this equation that was 1x minus 4z equals 4. 1x is just x, so I'll write it simpler. And I'm going to take this z here, negative 1, I'm going to plug it into the equation. X minus 4z, which is negative 1, is equal to 4. Negative 4 times negative 1 is positive 4. So x plus 4 equals 4. And I'm going to minus 4 minus 4. So x equals 0. So now I've got z, and I've got x. I'm going to take an equation from the very top. So let's see which one I want to pick. It doesn't matter which I choose. I'll just pick the top one. I'll rewrite it and then I'll drag it down. The top one is 3x plus 2y plus 5z equals negative 9. Pull that down to the bottom. I want to use that equation. And I'm going to plug in these two values. I know that z is negative 1, and I know that x is 0. So let's see. I've got 3 times 0 plus 2y plus 5z, which is negative 1, equals negative 9. 3 times 0 is 0, plus 2y minus 5 equals negative 9. Now this 0 doesn't even really matter. 0 plus something, who cares about 0? I'm going to plus 5 on both sides. 2y equals negative 4. And now I'll divide by 2, and I get that y equals negative 2. My final answer should be in alphabetical order, x, y, z, just like a coordinate point. So let's see, x is 0, y is negative 2, and z is negative 1. So that is my final answer. That is the point in three-dimensional space where all of these equations intersect. Now I'm going to do one more, and let me preface this. I'm not going to talk through this one. There's already another video up with this same title, 3 variables, 3 equations, in case you want to watch some more talk through examples. But you should really be doing these yourselves if you want to prove that you understand them and you know what to do. Okay, so once again, I want you to pause anytime. And I want you to do the step first. You should be able to go back later and do this question yourself without the video. Okay. So, number 6. Take the first and second. Cancel out A's. This equation works out pretty nice because of these A's all having the same numbers on them. I'm going to choose to get rid of the C's. Multiplying by 3 gets me a positive 6C, so multiplying by a positive 2 gets me a negative 6C, which is pretty good. C's will cancel out. Negative 15 and negative 24 is negative 39b equals 78. So negative 2 is b. going to plug that into this equation. -2 because that's what b is. I'll plug that in here. Okay, turns out that c is also -2. B is -2, C is -2. And take both of those up to the top and plug those into one of these equations. Doesn't really matter which one. I'm trying to find A, so let me just make A positive. So use this one. I'm just going to rewrite it. So B goes in here, C goes in here. Plus -2, that's just -2. Minus a -2 is +2. These two cancel each other out. And I divide by 3. So I get -6. Of course, remember A, comma B, comma C, because they should be in alphabetical order. And so my final answer is -6, -2, and -2. Okay, I hope that was helpful. Remember that they follow the same flow pretty much every time. Good luck on your homework questions. Good luck on our next quiz.